The Detroit Lions enter this offseason in a fascinating position, caught between honoring the past, evaluating the present, and aggressively shaping the future of a roster that believes its championship window is wide open right now. Few franchises understand the cruel reality of the NFL better than this one, where the conversation about injuries robbing players of greatness is not just theoretical, it's deeply personal and woven into the team's identity. When fans talk about talent that never got the chance to fully blossom, names like Javid Best immediately surface, a player whose electrifying speed and big play ability hinted at superstardom before concussions abruptly ended his career. At his peak, he wasn't just productive, he was becoming the centerpiece of an offense that desperately needed explosive playmakers. You can still imagine an alternate timeline where Best becomes one of the league's most feared backs, stretching defenses horizontally and vertically, transforming how Detroit attacked opponents every single week. But the tragedy goes deeper than just one player. The story of Mike Utley remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in franchise history, a devastating spinal injury that ended not only a promising career, but changed a life forever. Then there's DeAndre Levy, who actually reached elite status, earning All-Pro honors and anchoring the defense before injuries erased what should have been the prime years of his dominance. These stories matter because they shape how the Lions evaluate risk today. When the front office considers players with injury histories, when they debate whether to invest heavily in veterans with mileage, these ghosts of the past sit in the room, influencing decisions in ways that statistics alone never could. It's why the discussion around current players dealing with injuries feels so urgent, because Detroit knows firsthand how quickly promise can disappear. That perspective is exactly why the potential free agency pursuit of Joey Bosa is such a complicated debate inside the building. On paper, pairing him with Aiden Hutchinson would give Detroit one of the most dangerous pass-rushing duos in football, a nightmare scenario for opposing quarterbacks on third down. Bosa still flashes elite traits, converting speed to power with violent hands and relentless effort, the kind of defender who can wreck a game even when the stat sheet doesn't fully capture his impact. Detroit's defense, which has been steadily improving, could take a massive leap if offenses suddenly had to account for pressure from both edges on every snap. The ripple effect would be enormous, making life easier for the secondary and allowing the defensive coordinator to be far more aggressive schematically. Yet the red flags are impossible to ignore. Bosa's injury history mirrors the cautionary tales Lions fans know too well, and committing significant cap space to a 31-year-old pass rusher with durability concerns is the kind of move that can either push a contender over the top or become a costly mistake that limits roster flexibility. Detroit is already navigating tight financial constraints, trying to retain key contributors while planning for future extensions for cornerstone players. The front office must decide whether the short-term upside outweighs the long-term risk, a calculation that defines championship-caliber organizations. If you believe this team is one elite defender away from dominating the NFC, then the gamble makes sense. If you believe sustained success requires discipline and patience, then it might be wiser to invest in younger talent through the draft. Speaking of the draft, the upcoming combine presents another intriguing subplot, particularly at wide receiver. Even though the Lions appear set with stars like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams locked in for years, this is a front office that thinks ahead, constantly searching for depth, special teams value, and developmental prospects who can contribute down the line. Prospects with return ability or gadget versatility could carve out roles even on a crowded roster, especially if veteran depth pieces depart in free agency. The Lions' offense thrives on creativity, motion, and mismatches, so adding a dynamic athlete who can contribute in multiple phases would align perfectly with their identity. Championship teams don't wait for needs to become emergencies, they anticipate them. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the Lions' future and want more detailed breakdowns of roster moves, draft strategy, and insider-level analysis, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. This offseason could define the next decade of Detroit football, and you'll want to follow every twist and turn as it unfolds. Another quietly important storyline involves the tight end position, where injuries completely derailed what was supposed to be a strength of the offense. The uncertainty surrounding depth players like Shane Zylstra highlights how fragile roster construction can be in the NFL. Detroit's scheme relies heavily on tight ends who can both block and catch, serving as extensions of the offensive line in the run game while creating mismatches in the passing attack. When that unit collapsed due to injuries, the entire offense had to adjust, limiting play-calling flexibility and exposing how interconnected every position group truly is. Decisions about whether to retain depth players or invest in younger, more versatile options will directly impact how explosive this offense can be next season. Special teams, often overlooked, could also influence Detroit's trajectory more than people realize. The situation surrounding kicker Jake Bates is a perfect example. While his accuracy dipped last season, his clutch performances demonstrated the mental toughness coaches crave. Extending him would provide stability, but it also requires confidence that his struggles were temporary rather than the start of a decline. In tight playoff games, the difference between advancing and going home often comes down to a single kick, making this decision far more significant than it might appear on the surface. All of these threads connect to one central truth. The Lions are no longer rebuilding, they are refining. Every move now is about maximizing a championship window, balancing bold aggression with calculated restraint. The lessons from past careers cut short by injury, the temptation of adding a high-profile veteran, the search for hidden gems in the draft, and the need to solidify depth across the roster all converge into a single question. How do you build a team that is not only great, but resilient enough to survive the brutality of an NFL season? As this offseason unfolds, the Lions have an opportunity to redefine what sustained success looks like in Detroit. They can honor the past by learning from it, protect the present by managing risk wisely, and attack the future with the confidence of a contender that knows its moment has arrived. If they get these decisions right, this could be the era that transforms the franchise from a story of what might have been into a model of what a modern powerhouse looks like. If you want to be part of this journey and stay ahead of every major development, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments about which move the Lions must make, and join a community that lives and breathes football at the highest level. The road to a Super Bowl run starts now, and you won't want to watch it from the sidelines.